Hej och välkommen till Penser Bank och vår temadag för mjukvara. Jag heter Marcus Almrud och jag är analytiker här i banken. Today I have with me Christian Fredriksson, who is CEO at Fingerprint Cards. Hi Christian.
Hi there.
Thanks for
Good to
being
be
with
here.
us.
Thank you.
I will leave the word to you and then I'll come back in a bit with some Q&A. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much and welcome to the world of fingerprint cards and biometry. Let me go through a few topics. I think first on our vision. What do we believe in? We believe in a secure and seamless universe where you are the key to everything. We believe biometry is going to more and more devices in access, in IoT, and we are already moving outside of the mobile, which has been the stronghold of fingerprint cards and where biometry really hit the mass markets. And obviously the areas we are talking about outside of mobile is PC, payments, and access. These are the new growth areas for us, and I will explain for you, of course, what is still happening in mobile and the PC and payments and access markets. And we believe that as in the car industry, you would be a naked driver. You don't need anything with you. You are the key to everything for yourselves, whatever access in physical or digital form you will be using. Let me move ahead from that vision and that view on what are we thinking ourselves and what are we doing in this company. We got started in mobile, which is typically where we are most known. It is a big volume market. It has been over 90% of our revenues as a company, and it has been a roller coaster ride, to say the least. Again, latest with the COVID shutdowns in China. This is a fantastic, competitive, and very hard market, and also has a lot of roller coaster in it. Every few years, you seem to end up in a little bit of a temporary drip or tripping, even a speed bump, you would say, in the mobile industry. I will go through then what we are doing to grow our market share, to position ourselves strongly in PC, in payments, and access, which are the new growth markets for us as a company. We are the leader in the mobile segment with the capacitive sensor, and I will explain you also what's happening there with the in-display or the optical solutions in the mobile market, which is a brand new market for us, even if we are coming later into that market. We are increasing our share of revenue from the 90% in the mobile to actually about around 25% outside of mobile this year, or outside of mobile capacity this year. And of course, that is both because of the growth in these new areas, but of course also, I have to admit, because of the decline in the mobile that we have seen because of the lockdowns, specifically the lockdowns in China, even if there are challenges, but they are more minor when it comes to the global consumer electronics drop that has happened. Let me run through a little bit on these different separate areas for you. But before I go to that, there has been questions also on us. What do we do? What is the system that we deliver? Why is Fingerprints leading in this area? Why are we able to do big volumes and good quality, which is excellent performance, world-leading performance, that at the end of it counts? Are you able to deliver volume in huge volumes, in hundreds of millions of units, and with constant, very good quality, very good security and performance every single time? And the key for us has been and continues to be a complete skill set around delivering the whole system. For us, it is when we deliver a sensor, we deliver the biometric algorithm that comes to it, which has a machine learning, a kind of starts of artificial intelligence, if you may, but mainly you would call it machine learning in terms of adapting, learning all the time. That biometric algorithm skills is extremely essential in doing a good performance, but we also have software development. We have the ASIC silicon chip development that we build upon, which is the lowest power consumption. We can do different form factors, even bendable and adaptable to many different applications that we need to be able to build this. And then we have the design and integration expertise, which is very important for us to do continued design wins in different areas when we move to different mobile phones, when we move to different form factors. That is, of course, extremely important for us to be able to deliver that consistently and very fast for us in these competitive industries globally now. We have a lot of tools, range of tools for evaluation kits, development kits, for capacity or capture of images and the production testing. We are influencing the production when it comes to the module houses and others together building this, and that's also an essential part for us. And of course, the personal support that comes from us with the people that we are available to doing this. This overall system performance is key. Many players have different parts of these and they try to combine them, but the capability for us to perform every time with excellent security, excellent speed, and just always right, that is the skill set that we have, why we are able to continue to be the market leader and why we can build so good systems. That is very core for us and very important for us to, of course, maintain and continue innovating in this space. Now, we're a product company and we're proud of that. It is fantastic to show some of the products that we do. And they are a lot of innovation that goes into this one. There's a lot of hard work, a lot of cool things that we bring to market. Let me explain some of these ones. It is a very broad portfolio that we can do in biometry today. This is only showing some of the form factors that we have. I'll explain a bit more of it. We are, of course, the undisputed leader in biometric solutions for payment cards, so where, of course, the fingerprint cards name even comes from, as the original invention was done in that space. It's taken a long journey to get to that, and last year you could say that we really got going with selling biometric cards into the payment industry. Here you see one of them. The next one is access cards, which are used now, and that is a very strong growing segment. It's access card for added security. We have all kind of other wearables, smartwatches, home solutions that are coming with biometry as well. And then you have the PCs, which is now a great new entry for us that started last year for us really to get into the PCs, where we are gaining market share and we expect to continue doing that. And then, of course, here down on the right, you have the most well-known for us, which is, of course, has been the large volume market, which is now the sign-mounted sensors that we have, which is very interesting for us and continues to be, even with the challenges in the mobile market, it is a fantastic industry to be in, of course. It makes you very good at delivering volumes, very good at being competitive, that you have to be in that industry. And now, of course, lately, then the recent, our entry coming into under-display sensors, which significantly expands our addressable market, even in the mobile industry. Now, our revenue mix is shifting, as I said, now obviously because we are growing these segments, but yes, unfortunately also because we have a drop in mobile this year, which you have seen because of the drop in the second quarter for us and that challenge that came from the lockdown in China. And as said, overall, still we continue and we see that the mobile will bounce back. And then we still see that the revenue growth in the new areas will outpass the mobile capacity. And it will be about 25% out of mobile capacity this year, and it will continue to grow that percentage in diversification for us next year. And the coming years, we expect that to continue in these new areas, which is the PC access, as well as payments industry now. Fantastic new industries for us to get into as well. Now, let me go through a little bit more on these actual markets then, so you get a view. Here you see the big PC OEMs, as we call them, and their market shares in the pie to the right. So we have now delivered our sensors in over 40 PCs and Chromebooks for ourselves. These are in Lenovo, Dell, Acer, Asus, Google, HP, Huawei, Microsoft, Samsung, and Xiaomi, just to name those that have been already launched. And we are sole fingerprint sensor supplier in Chromebooks. And we expect to continue growing in this one. This is obviously not the same volume overall as the mobile, but it is better ASP or average selling prices. It is also more solutions in terms of security, in terms of memory. So it gives you a lot of opportunities to innovate. This is a very wonderful market for us to enter now, where we expect to gain market shares, even if the penetration rate here is in a little bit over 20% for the PCs for biometry at the moment. It is growing, whereas, for example, in mobile, it is biometry in mobile is already 85% penetration rate. This is a fantastic new area for us, and we expect to continue to deliver good growth in this space. And we have so far been delivering to 4 out of the 6 top PC manufacturers in this world, and we continue to working hard on expanding in those cases to new models and new players. Now, access, or it could be also called access combined with IoT, because this is not only about access actually anymore. This is coming into many different form factors. Mobile phones is very clear. It's a few big old OEMs, huge volumes. PC is also actually dominated by those 6 players in the PC OEM market, and we are with 4 of the 6, so it's fairly clear on what you need to do and deliver. In here, in access industry and the IoT industry, it is new things happening all the time, new markets coming for us all the time, smaller segmentation, smaller volumes, very different form factors, higher gross margin as there is in PC as well. Because of that, it requires all the adaptation skills that you need to have as a company to be able to drive these different segments. We are the number 1 player in this for consumer access segments as well. And our sensors are now used in hundreds of different access applications and devices. And I would call it almost IoT, Internet and everything, because it is very broad segment, this one. I'll give you a few examples, as you can see here. Smart locks, which has been the first real growth market in this one, and it is continues to grow. Now, outside of China, China has been declining this year and will decline this year because of the COVID restrictions, but the rest of the world is growing in access when it comes to door locks. A smart home, we have solutions. We have very huge expectations, and it is a wonderful market to get into this physical access, where you actually use your access card with a fingerprint sensor, and you gain access, either physical access, or you have logical access with USB dongles, for example, as you can see here, which helps you with the security for corporations, and of course help with physical access as well in offices and so forth. You have personal storages and safes and cabinets, and we have e-bikes, electronic scooters, and all of these. Everything with a lock, basically. Everything wants to give you access is easier done with biometry than having keys, luggages, and so forth. And then, of course, you have, as you can see here, you can see a door lock here down to the left. And on the right side, you have a mirror from the cars, where we are working with our iris solution to bring access into cars. We have healthcare solutions where we have got access with iris as well, and other POS terminals and routers that are coming for payment terminals in India and so forth. So a lot of different remote controls, VR headset. There is a lot of things happening in the industry to bring biometry there, to make it simple to know that you have access to this device or to this place, either physically or logically. This is an interesting market, but very fragmented. And a lot of different form factors that you need to work with, and so forth, which is very interesting for us as well. On the mobile, I'm just going to mention actually now more on the under display sensors. We are the market leader in capacitive, and that is a huge volume market, even if it is painful right now when we have gone through the closures because of the COVID in China. We see that as a temporary situation, as we have said earlier as well. And this is actually then this is about 40% of the market in terms of volume in the mobile space versus capacitive solutions. So it goes under the display and you touch the screen in front of you with your finger. And we have been late to this market, but now we have entered and we have our first design win and expect first shipments during Q4 this year. and we want to be a significant player in this segment. Even if it is 40% of the volume, it is a little bit higher ASP, so it's almost equal in terms of value to the capacitive sensor market, and they have been fairly stable on those, at least so far, and we see so for the next couple of years, and that makes this interesting. And of course, for us, it's a virgin market, fantastic market to get into this one as well for us, and we look forward to playing in this field also now. And as I said, we want to be a significant player in this market as well. It is, of course, close to our DNA, same customers, just a little bit of different technology on the fingerprint sensor using optical and the cameras there. Now, on the payments, which is, of course, the largest market of all these markets that I have explained, it is the payment market. Just the sheer size of this is huge. If mobile phones is even if it declines this year globally, it's still going to be something below 1.3 billion smartphones delivered. PC is in the 300 million plus, 320 million PCs per year, access in the hundreds of millions, all together in those different devices, even if it is very fragmented. And this one is 6 billion cards delivered per year. Of course, it takes time. This is not the fastest moving industries. It takes time to go through the processes and work on it. We have worked very hard. Last year was the year when we really saw the banks launching. And here you see BNP Paribas card, where you basically have your finger on the card and you can then pay by a blip. And this is, of course, one of the 8 live customers banks that we have right now, and more is coming clearly in this industry as well. This is as I said, by far the largest market as an opportunity, even if all these other 3 legs are very strong as well overall. And then if I move forward here, and now can you change, Markus, by the way, the slide? Trying. Yes, now I got here. So once again on the banks, then biometric card deployments here on. We have now had 24 bank pilots and 8 commercial launches. These are in countries like Switzerland, France with BNP Paribas and Crédit Agricole. We have BBVA in Mexico. We have Poksovi in Poland, and then we have also 2 banks now have launched commercially in Morocco. We expect about a handful of launches this year still. And this is, of course, the big change is now that we have live customers, we have networks or we have launches that are ongoing. The Polish launch is now the first one that is going also retail. Many of these have started high end, and they start through that. If you look at the speed, it is good growth for us now in terms of the numbers, but it is still small, of course, in comparison to the overall market size and the overall volumes that we are rolling as a company. And we see this ongoing growth in this space to continue. I get often asked on what kind of speed do we expect here? And of course, we are not the bank. We are not the ones who is doing this, launching it to the consumers, doing the marketing consumers. So it's very always kind of from the chain ecosystem that we give our view. But what we see is, first of all, the consumer feedback is overwhelmingly positive. There are no card returns, neither because people want to return it or because it wouldn't work. It just works every time, which is, of course, extremely important when you launch a new service like this. So the only thing, one example we give is, and look at this, is that how fast did, for example, the contactless card, when that moved into mass market, how did it move? It actually took 8 years to get to 1 billion contactless card, and then it's replacing more and more, of course, and becomes the norm, as it was with PIN and chip earlier. And now with this, because we expect it to be faster than the contactless cards, because it doesn't require a change in the POS terminal, the point of service terminal. It doesn't require change, only the back end of the machinery. So we expect it to be faster, but still it's a conservative industry and requires many launches, and those are coming, and more players now. Almost all big players in this industry are having a plan for biometry and how to launch it in their product roadmaps. So we expect still the launches to continue, a handful this year. We have done a lot of cooperation agreements. Of course, this is very fascinating industry to be in. And we have our latest, the T2 shape that you see here, sensor, and you can see the double roll that we can do from a manufacturing point of view. We have done cooperations with all top 3 card manufacturers, ST PayBio. We have launched, of course, was developed in partnership with Fingerprint Cards and LinkSense and won the CES 2022 Innovation Award. We have also with all top 3 global secure element providers have chosen a solution for their reference designs. And we have enabled biometric authentication to be executed entirely within Infineon's secure elements. So these are big players in this industry who are rolling out the products as well. What this does with Infineon is we don't need a separate MCU, that's a separate memory, so we can combine it and do everything even faster, even cheaper, and even better with our algorithms. And this makes it easier for card manufacturers to develop and roll out biometric payments cards at scale. Of course, cost is important. The enrollment, how do you get the customers to enroll their finger? And then the marketing strategy of the banks are clearly those big things that are being worked on as an industry right now to do the next phase. The most important thing, of course, is consumer feedback is overwhelmingly positive. They do not want to return the cards. That is the core, of course, for us as a company to be in this industry. For us looking forward then, if I come to the conclusions, now we will continue to drive innovation and continue to diversify our revenue streams. We will go to from mobile capacity. We want to keep our market shares in there. It is a lot of work and requires a lot of cost efficiencies, and it will be a continuous roller coaster, as we can see also from 2017. We had challenges with inventory. Now, because of the lockdown in China, we got into a very different reason, but almost the same situation again. And then our entry into under display is a fantastic expansion of our addressable market in the mobile industry, which will continue. We want to continue to expand our business in PC and access and continue to drive, of course, the emerging payment markets. PC and access business are ongoing markets where it's more about we taking share and continue to work into different new form factors. And we, of course, want to continue to expand our supplier base, which is very core for us in this kind of volume industry. We want to maintain and work on a gross margin that is more stable than it has been in the pure mobile only, which has been also much more, it's very competitive. And of course, that's why it's a good place to be, but it's also more challenging in that terms of driving the cost all the time. And that has been an enjoyable journey, if I would say the least, but also at times very challenging. This is where we drive scale and where we drive also efficiencies through the organization, through the manufacturing processes and so forth. We believe that we can maintain a sustainable gross margin around 30% in this industry. Obviously, we have been up and down on that. We haven't been on a sustainable level yet. We believe we are there and we will get to that in terms of expanding into the new markets. That's why it's so important for us. And that's what we intend to do and continue doing in terms of the new 3 legs that we're building up for the company in PC, in the access and IoT that I explained, as well as in the payment industry. But still great also to expand, almost double the mobile market opportunity for us and the access to that in terms of the optical solutions as an opportunity. And we want to continue, of course, on working on the cash flow and sales growth. And while maintaining, we need certain volumes to make efficiency in this kind of business. And that's, of course, because of the latest challenges in China, we had to do cost measures as a company as well. So we do those measures and we work extremely hard, of course, in terms of at the end of it, expanding our market outside, not only being in the mobile industry, which, as I said, is quite a wonderful, crazy and roller coaster ride to be in as a base of the business. But now looking forward to that in terms of going into new segments and continue our expansion in all of those 3 segments. We see that there's a lot to innovate in all those 3 places still for us. when we have only going to started in these 3 new areas for us as a company. And we will bring, as I said, and started with, we will make you the key to everything, your access, physical, logical, and your usability and your security and safety will be much better when we get these products out there as well, helping you on that. With that, that's what we intend to do as a company and the people in this company. Thanks a lot.
Lots of stuff going on. Lots of questions to ask on what's going on, I guess. We have some time. I'll try to limit the questions, but maybe we start in China. I mean, we saw the revenues in Q2 were problematic. That was mostly on the back, and you mentioned in the presentation, on the COVID-related closures in China, which made the mobile phone sales fall very rapidly, and then you took a bigger hit of that because of the supply chain inventory drawdowns. Talk a little bit about what the latest you've heard is from the ground, because I assume that you monitor the situation, and we've seen closures just this week, but also we've seen curves tend to move up and etc. So what's the latest?
Yes, exactly. I suppose the whole world is monitoring what is going on with the COVID lockdowns in China. We can see that the biggest, I mean, there's a drop about 10% roughly in the whole mobile phone sales this year versus last year. And a big portion of that is because of the China lockdown. So clearly it has had an impact, and because we have so much business with the Chinese OEMs, it of course impacts us quite heavily and dramatically actually as a company. And we see that the lockdowns continue, and they go a little bit back and forth, and I think that's what, as you just said as well, we were planning on that as well. We don't see an end to this. To be honest, I don't know when it's going to end. I suppose nobody knows except when the leaders in China do that. So we see that this will continue for at least for the time being. So there is a lockdowns going up and down in different parts of the cities, but it's not as massive as the Q2, which was a very dramatic stop it, almost all, right, when it comes to a huge amount, hundreds of millions of people, right? So it's not on the same level, but it will continue on a certain base level, at least for the time being, because the virus doesn't seem to go away, right? It's very difficult to contain, as we all know. Mm-hmm. And what we see, and we said that already, is that from us, the drop in demand in terms of a 10% drop in mobile phones is not really as dramatic in itself. That's why we call it temporary, because it is that when you have built inventories all across the chain, not only OEMs, but the module houses and every supplier of all the components, it is a train that stops suddenly. So what happens is that we see the OEMs have cleaning their inventories, but they need to get to a new level. This is what we said in the second quarter as well. And then the rest of the chain cleans their inventories, right? And then that is the after effect of the whole stopping. But that is still a temporary situation that you kind of bounce back to. So a 10% decline is not really such a big issue in my mind, but we expect that to continue kind of, flattish next year seems to be because I mean, we have inflation, we have war in Europe, and you have, of course, all this impacting outside of the COVID lockdowns in China. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what we said in the last quarter as well, that it is a temporary effect, and it takes a while to clean the whole chain out of the inventory. But we see the OEMs coming, which is important, because then the full phone inventory is kind of cleaned out, and then it moves into everybody else cleans their inventories as well. And then you get out into the new normal level, so to say.
So the best guess from where you stand right now is if I read you right, we have the worst behind us. It's not going to be as bad as it was in Q2. So the inflection point is behind us, so to speak, and then it'll take some time to work through it, and we should expect a flattish market from here on, more or less into next year.
No, what I'm saying is that it takes time to clean out the whole inventory, right? So I mean, when you stop for a quarter, that's what we said in Q2 as well, right? So this is what happened in 2017. So it takes a while to clean. It takes a while to clean up the inventories, right? And when you stop in a quarter. So and we hope that the worst is over very soon, right?
Moving on and moving away from China, you're entering down the display market where you haven't really been before. You're commencing shipments in Q4. You got design win. It moved on. You got an order. From your experience, what does such an order mean, the first order? So how important is this step?
It's of course very important for us, right? I mean, it brings the credibility that we can do this. It is a major OEM as well, so it's not a small player. It's customers that we have dealt with and that we know. So of course, the first is always the most difficult because then you have proven yourself, you get into volumes, and then you can go and talk to the others. It is the same customers that we talk to every day because of in the mobile capacity, right? So it's really something that we had to get into this business, right? And we had to do it, right? So I realize we came late, and I'm just pleased that we now got the first is the most difficult, clearly. Because when you go through this first and it's a credible player, then you know that it's just fighting for every phone model after that with all the players as we do in normal business, right? In the mobile.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. And moving on a bit in the interest of time, PC market. So the PC market is also falling. I think Gartner is talking about a 9% drop in volume shipments this year, for instance. But you're still growing, and I guess that has to do with penetration rates. And I think the numbers have been floated around. It was 20% last year in terms of penetration rate for biometric sensors in PCs. What's happening to penetration rates? And can you talk a little bit about how that market is progressing?
Yeah, I think that you're right that there is a in the range of 10% drop as well in the PC market. It goes kind of back to the pre-COVID. COVID made actually the PC market jump up over 10%, and now it's kind of dropping again. And of course, it's an implication of, and it shows the consumer electronics globally, right, which is taking a hit. And the PC market is doing the same, and the same hit as hitting the mobile market. So you have a little bit of inventory cleaning, obviously, also in the PC market because of that. Everybody was planning for something, and then circumstances have changed. I think the penetration rate is growing and continues to grow, and we see more new models coming. It was just below 20% somewhere last year. It's going to be over 20% this year. We will see how large it goes, but it is increasing, and we get more models with fingerprint sensors and biometry in the PC area. For us, it's of course a great market because we come from nothing, right? We started last year, so we're coming in from zero, and we want to be the market leader in the PC. And we have gone in now from out of four, we got 4 out of the largest 6 OEMs, PC developers in the world. We are them as customers. Apple is kind of a closed place because they do it themselves, so you kind of can reach 5 out of 6. And then we would be with all of the major ones, and then you can just keep on working with the models and continue gaining market share. So I'm very pleased with the PC progress actually for us, and we will continue now fighting for the models.
And when you talk about, you mentioned 25%, and you've had 10% of sales outside of mobile last year, and I guess before as well. And now you talk about 25%. And of course, there's a mix here between mobile falling and then other sales growing. But you also mentioned you come from very small numbers in PC. Does that mean that the majority of these 25% is still access, or are the numbers in PC actually meaningful? Do you see what I mean?
They will be meaningful. Yes, they will be meaningful now this year. Access is, of course, historically it was 10% of this was access, right? So you're right. I think PC will grow for us and continue to grow. We see good growth going on also next year. Access grows as well. PC grows faster than access just because it's just smaller and much coming from nothing, right? Obviously, the growth rates are high when you go to there. And also payments, the growth rates are high because it's so small volumes in the beginning, right? I think that you're right that in a way, 25% was not what we planned for this year, because we, of course, didn't plan for that mobile capacity will have such a dramatic drop. So it's both things happening at the same time. The PC access and payments are growing for us, but at the same time, then we hit clearly had a dramatic fall in because of the stop in the chain. As I said many times, we see that temporary, even if it takes time to work through that. It is important for us, as long as we keep the market shares, you know that you will bounce back when that industry bounces back again, right? But you're right, it's a dual combination for the 25% of our revenue, so it's not fully earned, you would say.
And to wrap up, I guess, because we're running out of time, just a quick question on payment cards. You talked a little bit about contactless cards, and I think from memory, or you said it took some 8 years for the payment, or for the contactless card market to reach kind of 1 billion cards. From what you've seen so far, is this market, the payment cards market that you're in, is it kind of following the trend? That is, has it been kind of in line with what you thought? Do you see what I mean? Or is it something here that kind of sticks out in it either going faster or slower than you had expected?
I think that originally we thought that it would be faster. So we were clearly not wrong if I look at the few years back on how we saw this happening. And it has followed, I suppose it has followed the plan and the view of those who are in that card industry, the bank's view and others when you talk to them. They have felt that this is the way it goes, and it takes time to get in and to test and run and do their marketing campaigns. And now it's tracking a little bit ahead of the contactless speed, right? If you look at that. And I think that if I look at that, we thought earlier on a few years ago, clearly we thought that it would be a faster, and we have said that a few times, that it has been slower now. Now it is happening, it's growing. Last year, you could say, was the real turn when you saw the banks launching, and they are getting more launches out there. Then they go from high end, and then we see the first bank now in Poland going for retail, so kind of more broadly to their own base. I think that's important. That's what happened in contactless as well, that you get broader and then finally get into a positions where it actually becomes mainstream, right, as a product. And that's how you get into the big volumes in these kind of businesses.
Mm-hmm. And a follow-up on that, to end this as a final question. So, okay, I appreciate you saying that it took longer than you had expected for this to start. Which is often the case, I guess. But if we just go back a year when this kind of started, and you look from that point until now, has it then been according to plans, or has that take-up also been a bit slower?
No, I think that's so far been pretty much according to what the plan was when the banks launches. I mean, we always want to be faster and we want to push it harder, and that's always a challenging position when you are the one who's bringing part of the solution, and then the banks are the one launching it, and it is not in our power to do the actual launches to consumers. And we of course want to see faster everything, and that's the nature of our kind of role. But yes, we are going according to what everybody else has been saying in the industry, as if I look at the last year in terms of the launches and what's happening there, right? And a lot of work actually now to get more banks into it, right? So that's where the phase is now. And I'm very pleased to see that now the whole industry has joined. So it's not only MasterCards and Visa and Thales and the IDEMIAs, but also other parts of the chain, and now banks. So even the kind of more smaller players, if I may, are important part of getting the whole ecosystem working for it. So they all have their biometric plans and launch plans, and they are working on that in their roadmaps as well. So that's an important step so that we can see everybody is part of this.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I think we are well out of time. So thank you very much, Christian, for coming here to talk to us, and thank you very much for everyone listening.
Thank you very much. Good to be here again.
Thank you.